Hello and welcome to Sam's on Wrestling, and this is our bracket series. That's right, it's a tournament style thing where we'll take the best, in this case 32 of a thing, put them randomly into a draw and find out which one is the best. And I am joined today by our baby of baby Sam. Hello.
Hello there.
Good turn.
That's my... Yes.
Good turn.
No,
I'm going to turn this into a thing of an intro. Today we are looking at babyface turns, which, quite frankly, was really difficult.
Yes, and you said to me off screen, like, name 32 different babyface turns, and I was like, I was struggling, and
yes.
I don't think I would with heel turns.
Yeah, it's really hard. So there's we'll talk about a few caveats here. Some of these are like slow babyface turns. Some of them happen before this moment or the moment. We're talking about the general area. So if there's any discussions. We also have pretty much eliminated, returns. Someone's gone away for a while, they come back, obviously they're going to get a pick pop. There are 2 returns in here. Okay? One is a 3-month break. And it's obviously come out and do a babyface stuff, so that's fine. And one of them is such a big moment from someone being so villainous when they were gone, so when they come back to being so babyface, that it was very hard to ignore. So we have ignored a lot of returns, bar 2. But this is how it works. We take the 32 and we do a random draw. Sam, why is it randomly drawn?
Well, because if you seed it, Sam, you've already decided.
Exactly. Yeah. If you seed it, you've already decided. But there's only 2 of us. How can you make a decision? Well, one of us is the judge. That will be me today. So essentially, I will have the final say on all results. However, Baby Sam today will have 5 vetoes. They are popped up there. Meaning, at any point, if he decides that I am incorrect, he can veto it. And whatever he's decided will go through automatically. The only caveat there, he can't do it during the semi-final and final. And he can't do it more than twice to the same, in this case, babyface. Are we ready to get started with the babyface of the babyfaces?
I was born ready.
Exactly. Before we get into it, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. What was your favourite babyface turn of all time? If you're unsure about the babyface turn, if you're unsure about it's when someone goes from a bad guy to a good guy. And this is the moment around it. And as I said, this was a difficult one to find. So we start with round 1 with arguably one of the most famous ones. We've got Batista's thumbs down before WrestleMania 21. And DDP doesn't accept the NWO offer. We've got some WCW. It's a real mixture here. We've got some WCW. Would you like me to talk about DDP for you?
Yeah, he's going to lose, isn't he?
Like, seriously, it was one of the ones where the NWO are asking for him to become it, and it looks like we're building towards it, and effectively just says no, starts attacking them, diamond cutters, makes a mega star. Why didn't Vince think this guy couldn't be a star in WWE? Listen to the pop Vince when he returned. It's unbelievable. This is kind of, NWO is not necessarily its height, we're kind of on that sort of verge, but yeah, DDP showed that he was awesome at this point. It really did. And he was probably the #1 babyface in WCW.
Yeah, we've talked about Christian in a few videos not really being given the platform to be a main eventer of WWE when he could have been. DDP's the exact same category.
He was never given any opportunity. He was killed by Undertaker immediately, and I'm not sure why, because he came over. He openly went, I'm here to work, let's get going. The mentality of Vince and the Undertaker was wrong. And I feel sorry for him. And this showed you how big he was, that he went against the NWO, but exceptional. But I think we will talk about the other one. I think we're already in agreement that Batista's babyface turn before WrestleMania 21 is going to win out here.
Yeah, when you think face turn,
So once again, the WWE megastar crushes DDP, pushes him aside. But it's one of the best babyface turns, maybe even the best babyface turn in WCW. So I'll let it go there. But Batista's thumbs down goes through to the next round. Our next one is Mr. Perfect going against Bobby Heenan just before Survivor Series 1992, and the Ziggler double turn with Del Rio. Would you like to talk about the Ziggler double turn?
Yeah, and then that was a case of, so Ziggler had his concussion, and then we go with the psychology of Del Rio was targeting his head. And if you look at it, the cash in, the pop that
was
Ziggler
the babyface turn almost.
That really was it, where they went, we all want Ziggler and no one liked Del Rio, because Del Rio is like the Miz category. He just is a heel.
He is a heel.
So it made perfect sense to do this as a double turn. And the fact that in the modern day WWE, they actually executed it pretty well.
It was an excellent double turn,
It was fair play.
They just never followed through with it.
That is the problem with the babyface.
A lot of these babyface turns really don't get followed through with.
No moment in time. I don't know much about Perfect.
So this one is all over the place. And they made the best of an all over the place. So this is building towards Survivor Series 1992. It's Ric Flair tagging with Razor Ramon versus the Ultimate Maniacs. So this is the Ultimate Warrior and Savage. That's the tag team match. What a match. Huge match. Absolutely match. I met these guys doing great promos together. And then out of nowhere, Ultimate Warrior, once again, bye-bye, see you later, is gone. And it's just before Survivor Series. So like, what do we do now? Perfect has been out for a while now. I think SummerSlam either the previous year, and he's been doing commentary, and he's been in Flair's camp. He's been pretty much a manager the entire time. His back's been ruined. And he goes against Heenan in an interview, pours water over him, pulls on his tie, and goes, guess what, Savage? I will be your partner at the Survivor Series. So makes his triumphant return to wrestling as famous after being in the Heenan family camp with Ric Flair, over Ric Flair's 92, win at the Rumble and all that jazz. He was in the back of that for the whole 9 months. And then in the match, he's brilliant. He thinks he might walk out because he's still not sure, and then comes back in. It's actually very, very good for a situation that wasn't meant to happen. He was clearly not meant to turn at all. I don't even know when he was meant to wrestle. And he came back looking as great as he normally does, because Perfect is great, to be honest. So it's actually, this one's a tough one.
Yeah. Because
this one's got 9 months, 10 months of heel great work, but is rushed, but rushed well. And then you've got Ziggler's one, which is, we want you to be face, is kind of rushed, done well, and then nothing happens. This is a tough. I think these two are it's also two very blonde, curly-haired men.
Yes, I was going to mention. I'm happy to give this to you in terms of design because you know the perfect one and I don't. I think it's close on the.
I think this is really close because I actually really rate the double turn way higher than it should do. It's actually really, really well done. It's actually quite a sad match. And that's why I'm going to give it to Perfect, because the Ziggler one, as much as it's a really well executed one, it's uncomfortable to watch. And I think it gets more Del Rio over as a heel more than Babyface work with Ziggler, because they don't do much with it. And I don't think if he'd have got up maybe at the end, whatever, I'm not sure. So I'm going to give it to Perfect in 1992, but it's very close. We have a tough one here, and it's one of our only returns that was allowed onto the list. But we've got We've got Sami Zayn turning on the bloodline at the Royal Rumble 2023, and Triple H's return in 2002. So I'll first of all talk about why Triple H was allowed to be in this list, because it is a return. He was in the Power Trip couple with Stone Cold. They were super heels. They've been attacking people like Lita and Jeff Hardy and doing horrible, villainous things. And then he was gone for about 7 months and returned to probably, arguably, one of the biggest return pops of all time. It's definitely the biggest return pop for someone who we knew was coming back.
Yes.
That one especially.
Unbelievable. When he comes out, the roar is...
And he was worried they weren't going to remember who he was, which is daft. But you never know, that anxiety. And that's why we put this on this, because it really was a babyface return. Even though most times when you return, you're a babyface, everyone was so happy. And it was a different one because of so that's why we've allowed it in, because of the difference. However, Zayn turning on the bloodline, Sam.
Oh, this was... Did we watch this together?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, we did, didn't we?
We did.
This was awesome. This was brilliant storytelling. You'd had the trial of the honorary use, and that was really when it was at its peak, and the timing was perfect.
Because the crowd were responding to Sammy as babyface. But technically, at no point in this is he a babyface, because he's with the heel team doing the heel antics, like attacking and winning the game at War Games and getting out of the way and all that jazz. And
he's like a likeable heel, but the story is there, the way they're mistreating him, they're not trusting him. They created his betrayal by not trusting him. The fact that they thought he was going to betray them made him betray them in the end.
You were waiting for them to attack him, and that would be his babyface turn, but it was the complete flip. He attacked them.
And it was perfect because it gave him autonomy in the story. It was his character decision. And it was because he was happily okay with them beating Kevin Owens, but they went too far. They were handcuffing Kevin Owens to the ropes and beating him down.
And then forcing him to go, you hit him with a chair, now you do it, to prove, essentially. And then the chair shot to be similar to the same response as the Shield breakup. Roman's response is incredible because it's just shock. It's like he's getting PTSD.
Exactly. And then Jay's interaction with Mick. Jay doesn't actually go and hit him at first. It's Jimmy and Solo that beat him down, and
Jay leaves.
Jay
doesn't get involved.
You don't know what side's going to be.
It's exquisite. I think we're going to agree that Zayn turning on the bloodline wins out. Triple H response. It's a return. I think we had to include it because even though it's a return and we discounted all but 2 returns, I think this has gone from such a huge villainous heel to such a huge babyface, something that it pushes to WrestleMania. It had to be included, but we're going to put Sami Zayn turning on the bloodline is the better babyface turn. We move on to Drew McIntyre around the 2020 Royal Rumble. I think it's pretty much official at the Royal Rumble. And then LA Knight's turn in 2023.
Yes. So to me, with Drew, I'm not sure it was really in the match. I think there was like a few weeks where, because he started doing the countdown with the Claymore, which is kind of like more of a getting the fans involved type thing.
I think eliminating the heel champion Brock is the full turn, and then winning is the full turn.
It more solidified it.
I think that's what we're looking at.
I think he kind of turned face, but then the fact he immediately did the Brock thing, it was like, oh, this is your guy now.
Yeah.
Instead of maybe it's not turning him face, it's more turning him main event level.
Yeah.
But it was a really good babyface run that he ended up having. I really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, it was mostly locked down, but he was great as a babyface.
He held the men's division. You got Sasha and Bayley held the women's division, and he held the men's division. He deserves all the praise.
Absolutely.
LA Knight 2023, we were glad he turned. He was being a heel, unnecessarily heel.
Yeah.
I would argue. Did he have a match at 39? I don't think he did he?
Oh. No, was he in that Battle Royal?
Might have.
No, was that SummerSlam?
No, I don't think he was involved. I can't remember. My brain's going up. And I tell you what, having that slow turn, really building, and then the crowd getting on his side is exactly what we needed. We needed a babyface LA Knight. And culminated in getting a title shot at Roman at Crown Jewel.
Absolutely, yeah.
I love LA Knight.
Oh, I adore LA Knight so much. He's exactly the kind
I've been watching him since TNA, because I watched that back end of TNA when he was Eli Drake. Cutting Rock promos.
Where would you argue is the moment that it happened?
It's tough to tell because I always forget because my brain's like merged this, and I went. It's just before. It wasn't a SummerSlam. It was kind of that region just before SummerSlam.
Well, he was Rene Dupree, and then came
Rene Dupree.
Max Dupree.
Max Dupree.
Dupree. Thank you.
He turned LA Knight because he was a heel. He was a heel against the Fiend at the Rumble.
Yes, but then I kind of thought he wasn't in some ways as well. I kind of thought, well, Bray's kind of the heel.
Well, it was such a good promo that people enjoyed him. So
yeah,
I think it's safe to say that Drew McIntyre turning the 2020 is going to win out here.
Yeah,
because LA Knight is a bit vague. It's more of a slow turn, but I'm glad he turned. So we're going with Drew McIntyre at the Rumble in 2020. We're now looking at Eddie Guerrero in 2003. And Shawn Michaels in 1995. So Shawn Michaels, as we were around about the stuff happening with Sid, which turned him babyface because he was kind of the heel champion, and Sid attacking him, and then that really worked actually really well. They played off each other really well. They had great chemistry with each other. Eddie Guerrero, it's very actually hard to pinpoint this actually because he's doing all the heel stuff, and then everyone thinks he's going babyface. He's kind of babyface in that ladder match I put in the Hall of Fame is with Tajiri because against the heel team angle, but then he attacks Tajiri, goes back heel. But everyone's like, no, we want you to babyface. That's just before SummerSlam, and then literally. Because he beats Benoit for the title and Benoit's the face. And then literally like a couple of weeks later, they're like, okay, well have you take out the picture. Go on then, yeah. And it's around that time he started doing the sewer thing, he started taking the mick out of Big Show and becoming that babyface. And that literal turn is what then propelled him to the WWE Championship and probably into our hearts, along with the heel antics beforehand.
So. Yeah, it's just such a good job we got this proper run of Eddie Magic.
Yeah.
And I think it's almost because his babyface run was so good after it, I'm tempted to just have him win.
Yeah, I actually think it does beat Shawn Michaels because Shawn Michaels doesn't push on it with the losing his smile and all that jazz. So I'm actually going to go with Eddie Guerrero wins in 2003. We move on. We've got a real difference in age here going on. We've got MJF becoming a babyface with Cole and forming that tag team for the Wembley in 2023 versus Randy Savage hugging Elizabeth in Mania 7?
Yes.
So
this is hard.
Where do you go there?
Well, with MJF, like
we weren't ready for it.
He was one of those you thought he was a Miz where he has to be a heel, and that's not a knock on the Miz, but it's just some people have to be heels.
And we also thought at some point you're going to attack Adam Cole. We thought it was going to happen at the Wembley. You actually technically won a bet.
Yes.
Because I thought it was going to happen during that, and Adam Cole was going to win the title. You survived not getting chopped.
Temporarily.
Many different times. It's just the once.
Just the once, yes. But what I would say is MJF is that good a promo that he just made it work so well.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of nuance in that, whereas with Savage hugging Elizabeth, it was much more simplicity, but sometimes simplicity works.
It was amazing. If you think about what Savage has been like, he'd been with Sherry, and they'd been quite villainous all the way through. They'd been a really terrible, horrible team, so much so that they actually... got rid of Elizabeth kind of in that way and replaced him with Sherry. And then when it happened, Sherry's attacking Savage, which doesn't happen after he's lost the Ultimate Warrior. And it's like, Ultimate Warrior, the whole match is booked by Savage, and he really gets destroyed by him in the end, to be honest. He likes Savage, made laugh, but you know what's going to happen. You've got the moment afterwards. And the idea being was like, Elizabeth comes running down, gets Sherry out of the way, Savage kind of wakes up, and he kind of thinks, have you been the one attacking me? And then they do the massive hug. There's a lot going on background here. The reason this was happening is he was genuinely retiring. He was going to go off TV because they wanted to have children, and obviously if you want to have children, you kind of got to get off the gas a little bit. You've got to get off the gas to have children. And then Vince was like, I'm going to put the title on you. So I was like, back on the road I go. I think between the two of these, the MJF becoming a babyface was so fresh and so happy. I think people forget how good this actually was and how over this was. That main event at Wembley was fantastic because of the babyface interaction that they had. But for me, it's so difficult to go against Savage at WrestleMania 7. Yeah. So, we agree?
I'm with you.
Yeah. Savage wins at WrestleMania 7. We move on to Becky Lynch becoming the man and Jey Uso turning on the Bloodline. So we've already kind of talked about Bloodline, so let's kind of just finish that off. So Sami Zayn's now turned, Jay's come back, they end up having the match anyway, which, I almost argue Jay should have left then, but you needed the tag team match to happen. And then Jay eventually turning on Roman after they had the tag team match with Solo, which they then lose. And then Jay and Jimmy attack Roman at the same time, sort of thing.
Yeah. So I've never really got Jimmy's part in it because
Jimmy's just confusing.
Yeah, because he kind of initiates the turn and that's great, and then he turns.
Jimmy's on his turns.
Yeah, and then Jay turns with him, and then Jimmy then goes. No, there was like a little gap of logic. Could you have had Rikishi kind of get in Jimmy's ear or something?
I want Rikishi away from all types of wrestling. If you've ever seen anything of his podcast, he's a moron.
I haven't, no.
He wanted Solo Sikoa to be the one to beat Cody Rhodes for the title. He was complaining that Jey Uso lost the Intercontinental title straight away, even though he's going to be either.
No, I get you can be an idiot, but he's not booking, so I just for the story.
No, he might have booked it. I don't trust him. I don't want Rikishi anywhere near anything because he's been an irritant. He's been an irritant on Twitter, and literally because I have to do the Twitter stuff, to find information and do all this stuff, and I'm constantly seeing Rikishi thinks that Solo Sikoa should beat Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship. Like, oh, go away.
Right.
So he's an idiot.
That's my point anyway.
However, Becky Lynch becoming the man. So it's not SummerSlam
because
that's a heel turn.
So which part are you? What?
I'm officially saying she becomes the man. Just before Survivor Series with the bloody face is when it's all official. She's been pretty much babyface inside out because she's been doing heel promos and they're just cheering. And then she goes, well, okay, they need to do turn. So it's all around that sort of area. And she does do a babyface turn. But she keeps the character, but then starts attacking the heels, attacking Ronda. So it was against Ronda, who is a face. So that was it. And then it was the Nia Jax. It's all there. And let's be honest, it's superb. Yeah, it is awesome to watch somebody become the number one in the company. So much so that I reckon at the time she was the number one in the company.
Full stop.
Men, women, tag, everything. She was the number one.
Yeah, for that
period. And it was almost a shame that she had some terrible feuds that came straight after it, and then she lockdown came short. Let's go get pregnant. It's the perfect time to go do it, and she was absolutely right. I think they're both a bit murky on when it happens. For me, I think it's Becky Lynch because it created bigger moments, whereas Jimmy's is a bit of a mess at the time, and Becky becomes so over and so iconically a star. Jay becomes a star pretty much later on, I think, because his match with Roman at SummerSlam is awful. His match with Jimmy's awful as well at WrestleMania. But everything else he does, it just gets better and better. But I think that babyface just really increases, whereas the moment, I think, just imagine that moment of Becky. If we're going to pick it as to one specific moment, just imagine Becky in that crowd with that bloody face. You're just like, you're the star, you're my main event, you're my everything.
If we go on that, fair enough. I think they were dragged kicking and screaming to babyface. They didn't want to. We all did it. The fans did.
She turned on the person we didn't like, Charlotte, and they went, that'll make her a heel.
That was supposed to be a heel turn. It got the biggest pop.
It was the most babyface turn. You stole my title shot.
It was such a great. That should have been framed as a babyface turn. And Charlotte was the pretentious heel who was trying to be a. It was perfect. WWE, I want to strangle you.
But Becky going through?
Yes.
Our final match from the left-hand side of the draw. We always do one side of the draw first, get to their finest, then do the other side of the draw. So our final match going in is Jeff Jarrett turning in TNA versus Hogan at WrestleMania 18. So Jarrett in TNA, this is so Kurt Angle's trying to get a team to take on the heel teams. And he gets people in, like Samoa Joe and all that lot. And he gets in Jarrett, who's been away for a while. And Jarrett's obviously, dominates TNA's, win every title match. He is LOL Cena before LOL Cena. Jarrett was doing it first. And the moment they all were unsure, he was the fifth man in the team because they didn't want him to come in. It's like War Games. They had a War Games match, effectively. And at the end, the winner of the match gets a title shot, even though it's a team thing. So it actually matters. And Jarrett hands a weapon to Sting, and then Sting wins the match for their team, affecting Jarrett officially going, look, I am Babyface, I am actually giving the win for the team, but the title shot over to you. Angle's pissed because he didn't get the title shot, even as the team captain, but then Sting gets the win. That's actually very well done for a character who's been kind of, selfish and winning and dominating and all that. It's actually very, very good and led to a lot of Angle and Jarrett stuff. Did it solidify a babyface? But it's actually a very good babyface.
Interesting.
Hogan at 18.
Hogan is winning.
Or just after 18.
Yeah. Unreal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Unreal.
So we talk about it afterwards.
Yeah.
But Jarrett and TNA is very good, but look at Jarrett and Hogan.
I know.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Jarrett and Hogan. But I think we're going to talk about it a bit later. Hogan around the WrestleMania 18 is going to go through. We move into the last 16 of the top half of the draw, the left-hand side. We've got Batista with the thumbs down, and Perfect goes against Heenan in 1992. Again, I think we're going to have a very quick one. We'll talk again about this a bit later on. It hasn't gone, but Batista's thumbs down is better than Perfect. Perfect was like slightly bit too messy, beat the last one. It doesn't beat this one, which is clean, crisp, and has one. And we will talk about it definitely when it has a bit more of a rivalry. So Batista's thumbs down is definitely going to go through between these two. Sami Zayn turning on...
Did it again, Sami Zayn.
I'm sticking with it now.
Okay.
Sami Zayn turning on the Bloodline and Drew McIntyre's Rumble 2020. It's Sami Zayn, isn't it?
Sami Zayn.
Yeah, again, this is the problem. This is a Babyface is a bit of a weird one. There's some really good ones and some kind of okay ones that the character builds. So yeah, Sami Zayn, comfortably, I think that's true. So Sami Zayn going through to the next round. Eddie Guerrero in 2003 and Savage at WrestleMania. Savage at WrestleMania 7, right?
Yeah.
No, I meant as the winner.
Oh yeah, as a winner, yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow, this round is just an obliteration. Like they've done well to get to round 2, but it turns out Eddie Guerrero's was good, but it wasn't that special. It was actually the work he did that was special afterwards.
Yeah, Savage is clear.
But Savage is this moment. It's actually a few babyface turn, and it's actually some of these are like over a course of a couple of weeks, a build, and then there's a small moment. This actually is a moment, as have the two that have gone through so far, have got a clear moment, and I think so.
Yeah, a lot of these are very murky, and I don't think you find that with heel turns. I think heel turns are very like...
I've got the list of heel turns when we do it in the future brackets, and I'm obviously included. It might even be bigger than 32, it might be a very large episode, but they are clean and crisp. Whereas babyfaces are generally a crowd has changed, a heel has changed, an attack has happened. Yeah. It's sometimes not sure if they've changed. So Savage is going through over Eddie here. Nice clean moment. Finally, we might actually have a match. Becky Lynch becoming the man and Hogan after WrestleMania 18. So we kind of talked about Becky. It was a wonderful... If we're going with that moment, with the Ronda stuff and then the Nia Jax and all that jazz is fantastic. Yeah. Hogan at 18. Now, there was a forced babyface turn that happened during the match. And this is how good Rock and, to be fair, Hogan actually are in ring. They looked around and went... And Rock, I think, looked a bit like, what are we going to do? And Hogan went, it's fine, we'll just change it. And I want to know what the plan was, because I've heard different stories going in here. Was Hogan always going to go babyface? Then why did you bring back the NWO and it lasted a month? Was the NWO meant to get involved and help hear Hogan win, or Hogan lose? Because they attack Hogan after this match and Rock comes in and does it. So what's going on?
Well, I think they've called the audible in the ring.
Yeah, that's
that we know that for a fact. I think the plan was that Rock was just going to win and Hogan was going to keep being heel, and it was just going to be a massive win for The Rock, and they were probably going to keep the feud going maybe a little bit, or at least the NWO going a little bit, because they did without Hogan, and then everyone else dropped out. And I think
Scott Hall got fired.
Yeah, I think what they've done is they've come out at the end, and they've literally gone, right, Scott and Kevin, we've changed this on the fly. You two go out and get some heat on Hogan, beat him down. The Rock helps him. I think the refs calling all that stuff and being communicated.
It's a mess from a booking standpoint.
Yeah,
but in the ring, oh my god, it's magic. It's magic. Canada made that. I wonder what would happen if it had been in America.
Because they might not have been that big on seeing Hogan, because the Canadians...
But they were anti-Rock.
Yeah, that's the thing. The Canadians were seeming like we haven't seen him and he's been our childhood hero.
Well, that's the thing. It's the person who left in '93, goes to WCW, and the return of Hulk Hogan. Like, of course he's going to get cheered. I don't think they didn't realise that was going to happen.
Or at least they thought The Rock was that over that he'd be okay, but no, it was very anti-Rock.
He did go into the red, orange, and yellow and all that jazz, not for a couple of weeks, because he literally has the tag team with the Canaanites. That moment came, and he's still wearing the Hollywood black in that thing, so it's actually not that long. So, what do you think? Hogan after X8, which was like a forced babyface turn, and Becky Lynch is a forced babyface turn. Weirdly, because Hogan's they had to do on the fly, and they did a wonderful job. I kind of more think Becky, but it's a tough one.
I might actually not agree to it because Hogan for me is legendary. Don't get me wrong, Becky is fantastic. I think Hogan's is more organic because yes, Becky's. SummerSlam is organic.
I think Becky's is super organic.
It's super organic, but they tried to force the heel route. They didn't do that with Hogan. As soon as they saw the writing on the wall with Hogan, they went, bang, we'll just go. Whereas Becky's was like, we're going to keep a heel, even though we're just going to kind of ignore that the fans are like massively cheering her, and we're just not going to acknowledge it. Even in this match, immediately the commentators pick up and go, it's kind of 50-50, and then they went, it's Super Hogan.
Yeah.
And I think the way WWE dealt with this was much better than the Becky one, where they were almost kind of like, shut up, Charlotte.
The funny thing is,
go with it.
The ironic thing is, you're absolutely right. We are talking about the turn, not what happens afterwards. Becky's then, when they did to the turn, is so much better than Hogan's, because Hogan wins the title, and then everyone's like, we're done now. The nostalgia juice is finished now. Yeah. Could you go to somebody else? Fine. Yes, you can have your veto. I do think Becky's is technically better. I think Hogan's is a moment it's so big that it feels bigger because it's not meant to happen. So technically it's bigger mess as anyone else because it's not meant to happen.
Oh, mess is fine, but it's the way they reacted to
Oh, they did it. So, okay, he's using his veto because I think Becky's is better. Hogan goes through to the quarterfinals. We move into the quarterfinals of the left-hand side, and we can finally talk about Batista's thumbs down and Sami Zayn turning on the Bloodline. It is one of the best builds to a WrestleMania main event match. Anyway, the guy who's been in the ranks, as it were, they used to do lovely little looks looking at the title. He got angry at the Survivor Series match, getting eliminated, which was the take control of Raw, and then at the New Year's Resolution. Batista gets eliminated. He's in the match to try and help Triple H, which, by the way, they did a beat the clock challenge to see who got to enter last, which Batista won because Rhino annoyed him. So he beat Rhino really quick, and Triple H was like, but you've beaten Rhino now, and he had to take on Shelton Benjamin, who he hadn't beaten yet, and he didn't win it in time. So Batista's now last, so Triple H had no protection when he entered the match.
So clever.
Then Batista enters the match, does all the stuff. Randy Orton does the RKO, goes to pin Batista, pins him. Triple H is in the corner, he gets up, and just then goes back down again. So Batista gets pinned, and they showed Batista this, and he's like, and Batista wins the Rumble, and then there's JBL goes to run him over, but it's actually Triple H has made it happen. Batista goes to SmackDown, and then Triple H is speaking to Ric Flair going, I did this for Dave Zogo because he's not very smart, Batista on the outside. So everybody knows the babyface turn is coming. Everybody knows what's about to happen, which is what made it better, because the heels weren't in on it, doing the big thumbs, and then that thumbs down, which then becomes synonymous with him. Powerbomb through the table, which was perfect. He just disappears. That's why that black little cloak sometimes really helps. He just disappears. I think this babyface turn is so awesome that it took Batista from being a big star to you are the number 2 in the company, and Battle with Cena to be the number 2. Yeah, that's how big this moment
was. I couldn't agree more, and I love Zayn's turn as much as anyone, maybe more than anyone. I adore it.
Two that we were ready if it happened. Yeah. We were waiting for the turn to happen. That was the fascinating thing. Both of them. They are very similar in the ranks. A little bit different to in the ranks. One joined, one was accepted in. But the moment comes. The only difference was we knew the Triple H one was about to happen. I don't think we knew the Sami Zayn one was about to happen. But I'll tell you what, this is really tough. I have my view. I'm the judge. So what is your view?
I'm thinking. If you look at what made the biggest start, Batista's did, because Zayn did have the match but didn't win because it was all going to be Cody, which is fine. But this was like Batista's coming out party. It's like, I'm mirror, and then one.
There's so much going on with the Zayn that you can talk about how good Roman is, and you can talk about the Jay thing was also happening. Kevin Owens is also there tied up. Whereas Batista, this is all about you. Even with Triple H and Ric Flair there, this is all about Batista. I do think Batista.
Yeah, I'm gutted to say
Because I love Zayn's. Yeah. Could have been a final.
It.
This easily could have been a final.
Absolutely.
It's one of the best things WWE have done from a turn point, and it was a babyface turn, because as we've seen, babyface turns have been and I think that's fantastic, yes. Well done from the recent history, but we're going to put Batista through to the semi-final. Awkward.
Oh.
It's Savage Hogan. I didn't realise we were doing Savage Hogan.
Again.
I have a clear winner here. So what do you think?
I do, but I think you're going to say Savage.
I think Savage is the clear winner here. I really do.
Persuade me, because I went into this thinking Hogan.
Because I think Savage's moment is so, clean. It was meant to be a babyface turn. It was actually meant to be a send-off, which is even more lovely as well, which led to the wedding at SummerSlam a couple of months later. Which is like, we'll put the title on you, you know, whatever. And but everyone is so happy, everyone is overjoyed. There are people who are crying. I don't know if they're plants, but there are people crying. That's how special this moment was. They, at least faked anyway, but they had people crying and it was happy. And let's be honest, Sam, these are two WrestleMania moments, both stealing the show, but a hug stole the show at WrestleMania 7.
No, what else is going on?
There was a Sergeant Slaughter
match.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, you know.
But it was a hug, that's all it was. Then
yeah.
get back together. I think it's such a wholesome, lovely moment that sometimes a babyface turn, you know, you could talk about your Hogan one is it kind of happened with the crowd, it was like almost authentic, whereas this one was a pre-made plan, which I think is really key here, that was executed to perfection, and the crowd are happy, and I'll also point out, was unexpected. Elizabeth hadn't been on telly since she left, right? Since I think the Mega Power was exploding. I don't think she'd been on telly since then, I don't think. So she was in the crowd, and to run out, it's all really well done.
What I will say as well is I love the Hogan one, but what I will say is the Hogan one, kayfabe-wise, makes very little sense.
Oh, it's a mess.
Because he just basically tried
to
kill
him
off,
over.
in
He
the ambulance, all that stuff. So because
and
of
hit
that,
him with a hammer.
Yeah, exactly. He was trying to be really heel, and the crowd weren't having it, especially in Canada. So I'll go with it. I think the Hogan one
is a bigger moment.
It's a bigger moment.
But is it the better baby
That's
face
what I mean.
turn?
So
and that's the key.
Just edge it.
Yeah. That's sometimes we have to do is that sometimes there are bigger moments, but are they the better specifics of what we're talking about?
And part of me goes, I just want Savage to finally beat Hogan. That's something.
I just want, when he beats him, even when Savage wins, Hogan's involved. One day I'll talk to you about every Savage win. Hogan is involved in some way, shape or form. Oh, one day, when we review WCW, we need to look at something like World War III, when Savage wins the title. Oh my God, Sam, you have no idea what happens here, do you? You haven't got a clue.
Doesn't Hogan win it the next night?
No, I'm talking about on the pay-per-view. Right. You don't realise. I'm going to leave it so you watch it live. And some people will find out, but we're doing TNA first, but then we will do WCW in 2000, then we might do WCW in 35. But it's bad, it's awkward, and it's you could just see Savage's anger and Hogan being genuine, and I'll talk to you about it.
I see.
It'll be great. But in this case, Savage got my way without a veto, thank God. I do believe this is a better babyface. Goes through to the semi-final. We have our semi-final from the left-hand side of the board. It's Batista thumbs down versus Savage. Hugs Elizabeth at WrestleMania 7, and it's Batista thumbs down.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that's the quickest semi-final I think we've ever had in the history.
It just is.
I love the moment, but it's the one made a bigger star and one was a lovely send-off. Both executed perfectly.
But Batista is synonymous with the idea of the babyface turn.
Yeah, I think so. And maybe it seems obvious, but I think if you look at who he's took on, he's took out perfect. I think he would have beaten Savage in 1-on-1 earlier. The only one that was difficult was Sami Zayn. That was so well done. But I think, Batista is going to go through to our final of best babyface turns. We now move into the right-hand side of the brackets to find out who's going to take on Batista in the final. We are starting with Daniel Bryan against the Wyatts with the cage, and Cena just before the Survivor Series 2003. I'll talk about John Cena's. Pure heel. Pure heel. But he's just starting to get those babyface reactions. But he's still doing it because he's doing the raps, and the raps are amazing. And he's writing them himself. People were going like, oh, you're not around the ring. You know, Maven talks about it. Oh, people, you need to be around the ring, you need to learn. And Cena's up in the things away. Because he's writing. He's coming up with stuff. And what it was is, Brock's obviously monster team. You got Nathan Jones and Albert and Big Show and all that lot. They went, we want you on the team. We want you on our team. I'll point out, Cena hasn't done any babyface things here at any point. And Cena just goes, no, I ain't being on your team. Why would I be on your team? And then he gets attacked by Albert or A-Train, and then A-Train's on the team. So Cena essentially goes up to Angle and goes, I want to kick these guys, I'll be on your team. And Angle's like, I ain't going to be on your team. So they're unsure. They've kind of got this dichotomy of the Cena is a heel, babyface. Then they do the match. Cena wins by doing the FU to Big Show. Benoit tells him to shake his hand and go, be a man, be a man. After he's done an amazing killer rap, I'll point out, on all 5 members at Survivor Series. It's amazing. It's actually really, really well done for a very quick turn, but listening to the crowd. I actually think it's very, very well done.
Key. That is key.
However, Daniel Bryan wins against the Wyatts.
Yes.
Yeah. Well done, Cena. Your one and only turn.
Long babyface turn.
It was good. I did his heel turn. I still turning from the non-babyface into. It's really unclear, like when it happens. But yeah, we're going to put Bryan through. We'll talk about Bryan in another round. The next round is Andre the Giant slapping Bobby Heenan at WrestleMania 6 and Stone Cold at WrestleMania 13 during the double turn.
I think there's only one winner, but I think it's worth mentioning Andre's.
So Andre had been a heel since WrestleMania 3, so it's actually quite a while, and he didn't like being a heel.
No.
Because he liked... Loads and loads of people who are massive people loved being liked. I think like Earthquake really hated being a heel as well. And Andre hated being a heel because it's not who he is. He didn't want people running away from being scared and stuff like that. But he was with Heenan, and Heenan is one of the best heels of all time. So then, literally, the match ends with the tag team match. Andre can't do anything at this point. He's leaning on the ropes most of the time. He really should have stopped years prior, but you put Andre on the marquee, people will come. Yeah. He was that big a draw. I mean, what a draw. Wow. I mean,
unbelievable.
Can't wait we do a power rankings of Andre, because I'll tell you what, over in a draw. Jesus, so we don't even need to talk about it. But then, so at the end, they've lost. And then Heyman starts like ranting and having a go at him, right? And Heyman doesn't realise there's a microphone there, and he's swearing like Billy O. It's really aggressive. And then I think he might have said things, and he might have slapped Andre. I actually forgotten if he slaps Andre. I think he does. And then Andre just starts slapping him, and everyone goes mad. And it was just really nice for Andre to get to become that babyface and to give Heenan his comeuppance. He didn't do much for the next few years before they finally let him retire. But yeah, Stone Cold at WrestleMania 13, I think we will talk about a bit later, especially now we've seen who he's drawn in the next round. Turns out this side of the draw is a lot stronger than the left-hand side of the draw. We've got CM Punk turning during the Summer of Punk.
That's a good point, yeah.
And Kevin Nash splits from the NWO to form the Wolfpack.
Kevin Nash interfering in the Summer of Punk yet again.
I mean, they're there. I don't think people realise, first of all, how over Kevin Nash is in WCW. They go, oh, money grabbing. Go and watch the Wolfpack stuff. The crowd go mental. They all have their own little saying, and the crowd are going mental. This is where the too sweet and all that rubbish comes from. And I tell you what, he is super over. And to turn against the NWO and to split, to make 2 NWOs, it's huge. But the Summer of Punk, I think, is going to win.
I think so as well. I didn't really say that to God, but the pipe bomb kind of is a babyface turn.
He's a heel going into it.
He's been a heel for a while, and this is his kind of massive nuclear babyface turn.
Again, admittedly, very difficult to determine what you would quantify as the babyface turn, because he still acts a heel against Cena. You could argue when he returns at SummerSlam.
I'll say at Money in the Bank, he doesn't use heel tactics.
No, he does not. So it's very murky. So we'll have to talk about it there. But I think Punk is definitely better there. But I tell you what, again, WCW getting a bit screwed. But this is generally really, really good. You want murky? We've got murky coming in here. So we've got The Undertaker in 1992, essentially turning babyface for pretty much the first actual time against Jake Roberts, and Brock turning in 2002. I'll talk about The Undertaker one. So Jake and Undertaker were kind of like almost like working together type thing a little bit, and. The thing that's really key about it is Jake goes, whose side are you on? And Undertaker goes, not yours. Massive pop, huge babyface. Undertaker's now a babyface, and it is on. Because Undertaker actually, what people forget, is Jake has got a steel chair. And he's had his massive rivalry with Savage, because it's happened after the wedding with the Cobra and all that jazz. And he's just lost, I think. And he's got a chair, and he's gone, I'm going to hit whoever comes through this apron first. And it's going to be Miss Elizabeth.
Right.
So he's got a chair, and Undertaker from behind grabs the chair. No one knows he's there, and he grabs the chair, and that's almost the moment. This is actually very, very well done, actually, to turn on Take Baby, because you wouldn't expect this character...
Not easy, especially back then.
Yeah, this character's heel. This is all heel, and demonstrated babyface was phenomenally done. It was really, really well done. Brock in 2002 kind of an organic one, really, because he just had his feud with The Undertaker, he beat The Undertaker, but he almost got respect from The Undertaker almost.
Yeah.
And then The Big Show got drafted over to SmackDown from Raw. Do you know who he got drafted for?
Was it... No, I don't know.
So there's 3 or 4, and I can't remember half of them, but I can remember a few of them. Maven is one of them.
Oh, so it's like loads of jobbers.
Devon Dudley's another to reform the Dudley. It's like all these kind of like people. And it's like, the Big Show apparently is worth 100 Eva Marie's. You know, we're talking about that. But he comes over and obviously he chokeslams, I think, Brock through the announce table, breaking his ribs. Now, normally Brock is injured here. He didn't need to drop the title. But Brock is now the babyface and Paul is still the heel. Essentially arguing with Brock, going, you can't beat him, you can't lift him, you can't get him up for the F5. And Brock still doesn't care. And they went, come on, we're going to go home, we're going to have some dinner. And Brock went, I'm not leaving. And I was like, what? So watching this dynamic's really good. And then obviously the turn kind of happens with Brock going out and attacking Big Show, irregardless of Paul saying it with his rib injuries and all this stuff. And then they have the terrible match at Survivor Series, which actually is okay. For 6 minutes, it's actually okay. And the weird heel turn. That's not a heel turn, but the weird, like, Heyman double cross, as it were. Where would you go with everything I've just described? Because these are both not massively clear to you. So what would you think of everything I've described?
I've seen the Brock one.
Yeah.
I would edge Brock. But if you feel strongly about Taker, I won't veto.
I think it's the Undertaker's, because when you've got literally the 2 moments specifically of grabbing the chair when he's going to swing it against Elizabeth, and remember, no one had seen, he hadn't turned babyface at this point. And then when they had, I think it was during a talking segment, I think it might have been the Paul Bearers thing or whatever, they go, what? Whose side are you on? He's like, nah, it's great. And then it builds to Undertaker and Jake having their rivalry.
I don't feel strongly enough to veto.
Yeah, so. I think Undertaker's will go through. It's really, really good. It's surprisingly good. A really decent one from old times coming in
Very
now.
retro.
Koloff saving Dusty Rhodes from the Horseman. And then Virgil attacking the $1 Million Man in 1991. So I feel like I'm going to have to do a lot of talking
I am lost.
So first of all, Koloff is clear heel. Right, massively heel.
Sammartino, didn't he?
Yes, he's one of those ones, right? So he's real heel. Dusty's getting beaten down by the Horseman, and then Koloff comes out and helps, defends, attacks, and the crowd went mental, absolutely mental. And Koloff himself was like, I wasn't expecting to get the job because obviously I'm a foreign heel, and that's the job I've always had. But because he had credibility as a wrestler, the crowd were ready. And I tell you what, saving them from the Horseman, huge moment. This is one of the biggest moments in early WCW, Jim Crockett, it's all that sort of mess. And I tell you what, this is a fantastic moment. It really, really, really is. And it had to be on this list. And I don't think there are a lot of people who know about it. You obviously being included.
No.
And you're saving Dusty as well, one of the most beloved baby faces. And it worked. And I tell you what, that's all Dusty's doing. Dusty made all of this sort of happen. You know, and went, no, we can make him a star. We can make him a babyface. People went, he's not going to make Koloff a babyface. No, he's not. We can do it. He's good enough. And you know what? One of the most underrated wrestlers of all time is Koloff. I don't think people realise how good he actually is, because he's in that realm of the 70s, early 80s, when, you know, it's you kind of, everyone's going around to different territories and all that jazz. But honestly, pretty good. Virgil attacking the $1 Million Man, it's your old trope. You know, person abuses your servant, after a while abuses your subordinate, and the person finally comes out. So literally, he's berating him, he's been berating him for a couple of months now, and then Virgil, with the $1 Million belt, hits Ted DiBiase, and the crowd exploded. They were so happy. I don't think people realise how Virgil could have been a star, but he's not a very good wrestler. Rest in peace, we miss you. Especially if you're an OSW review fan, you definitely miss Virgil. But the crowd went mad, so much so that they had matches for the $1 Million trophy, which he should have won. Piper became his manager and stuff for a bit. It was actually really, really well done. Both of these have enormous crowd reactions. They really, really do. They're absolutely huge moments. For me, I generally think you actually have to put Koloff saving Dusty because it's such an unexpected thing that worked. And a person who was so heel, foreign heel in the 70s and the 80s, you ain't turning that back for it to work. But I think Virgil's is also excellent. I think these are very even.
Based purely off of what you've said to me, I'd say Koloff. And I think back then it seems like babyface turns and things like that were not done really.
Few and far between.
Yeah,
people pretty much had their roles.
Yeah.
And the only way they turned is by turning it to a new territory and no one had heard of you and you just played a different character. Yeah. So we're going to go with Koloff saving Dusty Rhodes from the Horseman. Definitely, we have to go. You have to do a little bit of. I have to do an educating Sam on Koloff maybe one day. Trish Stratus slapping Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 17 and Sheamus turning in 2011.
Yeah, so Sheamus is very my neck of the woods.
Yes, I was going to say, we'd like to talk about
He was
Sheamus.
kind of
Bit of Jambo.
Yeah, Mark Henry was starting his Hall of Fame thing, and Sheamus was the first one to properly stand up to him. And
the crowd went really reacted to him being on stand up because he was pure heel. There was no build to it.
No,
just turned up and faced it.
Fight with you.
Shows how over Mark Henry was.
Yes, that's what it was. So he'd been purely heel since he came into WWE, even in ECW, just a heel, kind of like a cowardly heel. But he came and interrupted Mark Henry, who had just started this awesome Hall of Fame thing. It's incredible as a run. It's
which was meant to be Brodus Clay's gimmick idea. Yeah,
but that's one of my favourite runs from anyone ever. I love it. I adore it. And Sheamus came out as the first babyface to go and actually properly stand up to him, and that was him turning face. Think of like Kurt Angle coming out kind of after 9/11, which we'll get to, interrupting Stone Cold. It was that style of face turn. Where it was like he had credibility. He was a multiple-time WWE champion, and had a bit about him. And it was like, oh, we're seeing a different side of Sheamus that's actually gonna properly stand up to a really over heel.
And Sheamus is so quality; he could do it.
He could do it.
They gave him a bit of the John Cena run afterwards, bit of white meat babyface kind of fun, promos rather than serious ones. But this moment was actually really well done.
Really well done, but for me...
Trish slapping Vince, I think we might talk about it a bit later instead, actually, because I think this is better. We won't talk about it now, because I think we agree.
Yeah, it's better.
Sheamus is... The reason that Sheamus is on this is just because the response from the crowd is way bigger than it has any right to be.
In an era where you didn't get crowd responses for anything.
And you know what? It was nice to see them go, no, we'll cheer you. No, we'll cheer you. I'm happy you're standing up. So it was really nice. So we're going to give it a love to Sheamus. We're big Sheamus marks. We absolutely love Sheamus. But we're going to go with Trish going through slapping Vince. We'll talk about it a little bit later. Our second return that we said we were allowing, we've gone all the way around. Triple H was ages ago. People remember I said you're allowed to turn. It's Kurt Angle returning from the neck injury in 2003, just after the WrestleMania 19. So there's that 3-month gap. And then The Rock turning on the corporation in 1999. So I wanted to put Angles in as one of the returns because he was the heel at 19 and he came back to a hero's welcome. Everyone was so happy. He cut massive promos. He cut ties with Team Angle on the same night saying how rubbish he was. So it is actually a babyface turn because he came out and it was like, you heel, you face, because it was so soon. And that's why it's a babyface turn because it was only about 3.5 months.
Which is insane.
Well, they did this new neck fusion surgery type thing that a few others have done. And he never actually had surgery. It was like this kind of, I think it was like an ice thing. It was like I can't remember what it was. I researched it once. And he obviously cut ties with them, cut ties with Heyman, because he was technically Heyman was his manager. So it is a babyface turn, even though it's on return, but the crowd were already ready and already cheering him, even though it had only been 3 months after he'd been heel. And it was really great to see. And I was really happy for him back, because I didn't like Angle when I was a child, because he was boring. He was a wrestler, boring, And then it's around about this time that I'm starting to appreciate and get and understand Kurt Angle and how good he is. Because I'm about, when he returned, I am 11, 12 in a couple of months' time. And I just start to get it. And this, it made me really happy. And I didn't understand why it made me happy, because I was 11. I was like, why am I really happy this person who's a villain returns? But I was really happy. But The Rock 99?
I think The Rock 99, what I will say, isn't that when Angle comes back, isn't that when he does like the you suck thing and he's leading into it? Is that a different one?
They just didn't chant you suck.
Right, I thought there's a return that he did where he kind of is embracing the fact that
he does a little bit with it. He does, yes, I think it is, but they just didn't.
I think that was awesome.
They didn't you suck at it, but they then changed his theme tune in ECW to stop the you suck
Why?
to stop the you suck. But yeah, I think we're going to talk about The Rock later. I think The Rock 99 is better. Do we agree?
Yeah.
But welcome back, Angle, in 2003. It was okay that we didn't put Kurt Angle through to the next round because he's in the next match anyway. It's Kurt Angle around the 9/11 sort of time frame versus The Shield just before WrestleMania 30. Do you want to talk about The Shield just before WrestleMania 30?
Yeah, so I'm trying to... I was a bit in and out of this.
It's very hard to find.
Yes.
The moment, because it kind of felt almost organic that they became babyfaces because it was against the authority.
Yes, well...
They took on Kane and New Age at the WrestleMania 30.
Yeah, but then the Wyatt feud had kind of turned them face.
That's kind of what I was thinking, because it was like they were the babyfaces in that match against the Wyatts.
So that almost created it, and then they turned face against the authority. But I don't...
Against Evolution.
Aren't they about to attack Bryan, and then they turn around on Kane, and Kane's like, whoa.
Yes, that's it, yeah.
Really good
That's
turn.
the moment I'm thinking of.
Yeah, really, really good turn. For me, would still go with Angle here.
Yeah, I think Angle in 9/11, it's obviously a huge moment in America. Angle's been a heel for a while. This babyface turn does not last long at all.
No.
They've just been doing the Jimmy Crack Corn and all that stuff, and really funny with Austin. And then they gave him the title win around Mania, so we're going to back off him almost straight away around this sort of time. So it's a real special moment in America. It was the right call. You picked the right person to do it. And they did the babyface turn really well, like almost like doing it for America. I think Kurt Angle through, but I think this is actually surprisingly tight because the Shield were over as Rover.
They were.
As babyfaces.
But you want to talk about over, that moment when he comes out in Pittsburgh.
Everyone's happy.
That is as good as a positive reaction as I've seen from
I was about
anyone.
to say, is that the official night that he came?
Must have been.
Yeah, but what?
Because it was the Alliance Cup opponent, and it's the fact merely that Kurt had just come out and interrupted them. Hadn't said a word yet.
Yeah.
The ovation was unbelievable.
Kurt Angle, his 9/11 babyface turn is going through to the next round. We move through to the last 16 of the right-hand side. We now have Daniel Bryan's turn against the Wyatts on top of the cage and Stone Cold at WrestleMania 13. The Bryan one. Bit of a weird one for me, because I actually have negatives towards this one.
No, so do I.
Because of the connotations around it. Because he was with the Wyatts for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's a babyface turn that everyone goes mad for, but they go mad because it's Bryan and he hadn't turned heel.
Because everyone still wanted him to be a face.
Yeah, and it made no sense. Why are you joining the Wyatts? Because you're lost.
Well, you've either got to go, right, you're forced and coerced, or you've infiltrated them like a Randy Orton style.
And they did neither.
No, exactly. They didn't lean into either justification.
They just quickly went, we can't keep him heel. Brave, force him to do something, and then he just doesn't do it. But the moment in that cage is unbelievable. He's on top with the crowd are going mental. He then loses at the Rumble.
Of course it does.
But it made sense for him to be with the Wyatts. You were talking generally, not then, not at that point. You could have done this storyline in about a year's time, 6 months' time with the title or anything. Could you imagine him being the champion and then turning heel away from it? That would have been really interesting potentially, because babyface champions are very difficult to do. Cody did an amazing job and stuff like that. It's very difficult to do. Obviously, it only lasted a month anyway because he got injured. But Stone Cold at Mania 13, he'd kind of been turning babyface beforehand, but this moment of the I will not give up. You know, showing how tough he is. Because before he was a bit cowardly beforehand. He was cowardly at kind of the Royal Rumble, even though he ended at 5-1, the thing. But to just be there going, not giving up, showing how tough he was, and then passing out. I mean, as a moment to show, to be definitive.
Definitive.
I mean, Brett had been definitive really beforehand, but this was like culminated. This one really went, no, you are babyface, to show the world. Definitely, to me, is a phenomenal moment.
What really seals it is him going and walking out on his own and not letting anyone help him. And that is like a stubborn, proper man of just going, no, I am walking out on my own. That just, it's the cherry on top for me.
I think the Bryan is a fantastic moment. It's a really well done babyface, but it's 2 weeks. And I think that's the key. So Stone Cold. Stone Cold is going through to the quarterfinal. We have the Summer of Punk versus Taker versus Jake Roberts. So we'll talk about CM Punk's one now. Very hard to determine the official date because the crowd are behind him anyway. From the pipe bomb, he's heel up to that point. No one really cared. Cuts that promo, obviously gets suspended, comes back, cuts the thing with Vince. The crowd are cheering. You could argue he's babyface, all this, because everyone hates Vince.
Yeah.
So we've actually, in Maya's got 2 babyfaces going on in the same match. How far is this off calling Cena the New York Yankees? Is that
that is that promo?
Is that promo? Yeah, I thought it was. I thought it was because Cena's been called so many things. It's like, you are the Yankees. How dare you? That's what you get when you're from Boston, you see. Don't you dare call me the New York Yankees. How dare you? That promo exchange, I actually think, with the Vince is, in my eyes, actually the official babyface turn today.
No, I would agree. When he comes back, it's like he's got the megaphone, he's being, you know what I mean?
We had 3 weeks of just utter joy as a wrestling fan before they, ruined it. Why wasn't he gone for months?
Why didn't he just go to New Japan and TNA and just take that?
That's what they would do now.
Yeah,
that's exactly what they would do now.
And it would be mind-blowing.
If Triple H be booking CM Punk, Summer Punk now, honestly, Punk would be gone until Rumble.
Yeah, exactly. You come back at the Rumble and it's like you can stare down with like the world champion.
2 weeks later, Cena takes it off Ray, makes Ray look awful, makes Cena look awful. Punk comes out to new music, and then the match is kind of fine. But we're talking about the moment, and we're going to go with that promo exchange with Vince. It's so funny watching Vince trying to be like angry with Punk and all this lot, but hasn't signed him yet.
Yeah.
Do you think Vince knew he had him at that point? Do you think Vince knew he got him? Because the saying is, "You got me over a barrel" when he did sign, but obviously that he doesn't know he's going to have him around. Do you think Vince has gone? You're going to be such a big star, you won't want to go.
I think that's what he's trying to do, which fair play to him. I think Vince at this point just actually enjoyed the chaos. I think Vince, for a long time, got bored because it's like, I do this all the time and it's like there's nothing going on. I think he almost wanted a bit of chaos and a bit of actually there was kind of unpredictability. I think he was just honestly like just living off of it. And I think he just went, let's hope he does, but he was enjoying the unpredictability.
But here's the interesting thing about it. We've got an organic babyface turn and a planned babyface turn. We did talk about it. Undertaker's, it was a planned one, and they actually had almost two babyface turns at the same time, to saving Liz and then telling officially that I'm not on your team. It's really, really well done. So the planned within the chaos. I think the chaos wins out here.
Punk for me.
Because Taker's is very small, but the babyface turns in the 90s aren't that big, and I think it should be praised for how well it was done.
Yeah.
Sadly, it then leads to a very, very meh WrestleMania match, because he's on his way out at that point, is Jake. But Punk will go through. Ivan Koloff saving Dusty Rhodes from the Horsemen, and then very, very similar is Trish Stratus slapping Vince at WrestleMania 17.
Two very similar wrestlers.
And we've not talked about the Trish Stratus ones. Let's give that a bit of talk. Now, I argue with myself about the Trish side in the Vince thing. Because it was so big, it was brought up in Linda running for Senate, running for Congress, because they went, you produced this. You were this type of person, showing Trish barking like a dog. Now, I to and fro on this. I too, for the obvious reason, don't ever do that. It's disgusting, it's deplorable, it's really demeaning, it's awful, don't ever do it again. But at the same time, my brain goes, it's a TV show. You go going, you can't hate that, but then watch Game of Thrones.
Yeah, exactly.
And my brain's there going, and it's because they're real people in front of a live audience. They're going, but have you seen some things that have been put on stage? It's only Hamlet. Hamlet's any different.
The problem we've got is, because I completely agreed, and Vince said it in a TV interview, he gets really riled up against that guy. But he did say, this is a fictional show, my character is a villain, and my character will get his comeuppance. And he was right, he did.
And that was the thing. Trish slapping Vince. Trish was a nothing character at this point. She could barely work. She was a servant. She was treated as a slut. And then her slapping Vince is the reason she became the Hall of Fame she became. Because she got so over, and the crowd went mad. And you've got to remember, there's chaos in this match. But she arguably got the second biggest response, Linda being the biggest response. She got a bigger response than both Shane's dives, in that match. That slap was huge moment. And that's the thing. You've got to do the bad thing to get the good. So even though I think it's a deplorable moment, it's a TV show.
It's a TV show.
And it's a TV show in the Attitude Era, so it was meant to be for 14-year-olds and older. And it's like, I've watched so many TV shows where I go, well, this is a bit on the bone. And so, like, I watch You. You was about a stalker who kills and... the people are going, kills and murders people. And where they're going, yeah, but don't you get on the door, blah. It's a weird one.
No, I agree. I think the only thing is, where it comes from is because it is Vince himself doing it. I don't think you could have any right to have a go at Linda for that whatsoever.
No, that was
politics, isn't it?
But she was the CEO.
Yeah, exactly. But it's the fact that we know Vince, and we know that Vince got off on that.
That's literally the why I go back and I'm like, but Vince has written that. The same way he wrote making out with Sable, having Stacey dance around him, and touching Tori, and that's what makes me go, ugh. So, but from a TV standpoint, it was fine, because it then led to this moment, and then led to probably her career, at least the next year, where she got to be, kind of learn to work, and then she did it all herself from about 2001 Survivor Series onward. I think it does beat out Koloff saving Dusty because of the where it is, the stage, WrestleMania 17, the build beforehand, so it wasn't kind of sudden. There was a build to it. We weren't really expecting her to turn. She'd been kind of having an issue with Steph, but Steph had been kind of playing the babyface in that, even though Steph was heel. Very confusing time. So I think we're going to put Trish slapping Vince at WrestleMania 17. Corporate Rock turn versus Kurt Angle at 9/11. A lot of nines going on here. Rock at 99, Sam.
Rocky 99, I mean, you've got to look at the run it led to as well. That is a legendary babyface.
Austin leaves literally months later, after getting run over, and then it's just him and Triple H, and he's the babyface.
And I think people had started to really enjoy The Rock and wanted to cheer him as well.
Yeah, they had.
I think you've got to look at that as well. For me, I'm going Kurt just because it just felt like...
Oh, really? On The Rock?
Really?
Yeah.
I just felt Kurt was such a big moment, even just in the country, but like I get why you'd say Rock.
I think Rock was... Kurt's was so fleeting and quick. He was already back to heel very quickly anyway. Because you remember there was the Alliance, he was with WWF, and then he joins the Alliance.
Yeah,
minutes
I think it's
later.
just the visceral passion behind it at the time. But yeah,
I think the
can
Rock.
see
I think the
one.
Rock has just done his Mankind. He's just lost to the Rock and all that lot. Lost to Stone Cold, sorry, at Mania, and then to have that turn to go against Vince and that corporation is really, really big. This is tight. So I'm going Rock. What are you thinking? You got a veto or not?
I'll veto it.
Oh, he's going to put.
I'll veto it. I don't
There you
feel
go.
too good about it, but I'm vetoing it.
Kurt Angle's 9/11 turn to win the WWF Championship goes through to the next round. The match we've always wanted as we move to the quarterfinals. It's Stone Cold at WrestleMania 13, the Summer of Punk in 2011. I have an idea, I have an answer. Where's you going here?
I'm going Austin.
Yeah, I'm Austin. Punk's is just that tiny bit messy to put pinned down to. He's kind of a heel, just doing babyfacey type things. The kiss is fantastic to run away. I think that's almost, you could argue, a moment as well, running away with the title because Vince is such a heel. It's two babyfaces together, but I think Austin's moment is just a thing of magic. It's to prove, it's how you should turn so many people babyface. It's how you know, to I won't give up sort of thing. We do it so often with babyfaces just not giving up. You know, do it with heels and you will turn them immediately.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to put Stone Cold through to the semi-final. Trish slapping Vince at Mania 17, Kurt Angle 9/11.
You know what it is? I think for me, the
2001.
Rock, yeah, the Rock would have beaten Trish.
I think so.
Yeah, what are you thinking on this one?
Well, if The Rock beats Trish, then Kurt has to beat Trish.
I think
Simple
so
as
as well. Yeah,
that's how it goes. I think Trish got a bigger response, but I think Kurt's means more. And I think sometimes you have to play the babyface in the same way that Slaughter played the heel. You know, it's like you have to sometimes play the babyface for what's happening in society. Punk is an example of that. You know, the anti-hero Stone Cold, the anti-hero, but Kurt, you know, almost giving some love to the people of America when things were just at their worst, at their lowest. So yeah, I think Rock would have beaten Trish here, and I think Kurt beats Trish here. So Kurt Angle's 9/11 goes through to the semi-final. Our semi-final match is Stone Cold at Mania 13 versus Kurt Angle at 9/11. I think it's time that we accept that Kurt Angle's had a great run, an amazing run. Got two babyface turns on here. It's not very rare you get two babyface turns on here. But I think we're agreeing that Stone Cold is the better one. So Stone Cold at WrestleMania 13 is going through to the final. We have reached our culmination. So before we start talking about it, our final is Batista's thumbs down before WrestleMania 21 at Stone Cold at WrestleMania 13. So first of all, have we missed any babyface turns that you wish? Have we got ones wrong that you're not happy with? Is there anyone you want to talk about? Who do you think is going to win in this one? Put it in the comments now. We would love to hear from you. So,
this is the correct final, I feel.
I think if I'm actually being objective, because sometimes we don't have the correct final because, you know, random draws, some people get in the same side of the draw and stuff like that. Some people have tough draws, so we have wrong semi-finals and quarterfinals. This, I believe, are the two greatest babyface turns. I do actually believe them.
Zayn's third for me.
Zayn is third. Zayn could have been in the final very easily as well. I have an answer.
Go.
I weirdly think it's Batista.
I think it's Batista as well.
Like, Stone Cold is the bigger moment. It's probably the most famous moment. But it's got so much going around it with Brett turning heel. Stone Cold's not going in as a massive babyface, but he has been already doing those slight turns. Batista's moment, we knew it was coming, but we were ready, we were happy. It was made a bigger star. It made him a WrestleMania main event star. He hadn't main evented a pay-per-view on his own anyway, but he'd done a couple of like Elimination Chambers and stuff like that, Survivor Series matches, but he never, you know, his first main event match is WrestleMania 21. The story building up to it is a whole build of babyface turn. You know, not like a couple of weeks like Stone Cold's was. This is literally 5 months of turn work. And then the way they did it was perfect. This moment and then that is so perfect. And then to its clothesline Rick and Trip, put Tripp through the table, collapses, signs the contract, on it goes. It's literally the exact way to build a WrestleMania main eventer if you were going to turn them from heel to babyface.
Yeah. And Mania 13 was magic, but the beginning of 97 was so messy. This
really
wasn't even supposed to be the match.
No, it's meant to be Bret Shawn.
Yeah, exactly. So this was not.
I don't know who
planned.
Austin's meant to be facing actually.
I don't think they knew, to be honest.
No, probably not.
No, and this Batista one was so clearly planned with the absolute idea of making a star, and it worked perfectly. So for that alone, I've got to go Batista.
It's unbelievable. Again, I feel like it's a more controversial one, but Stone Cold is an amazing moment. It will live in my mind. That's just blood dripping down. It's beautiful camera work. It's perfectly done. Austin passing out and everything. It's what follows afterwards is what really pushes that babyface. But we are going to, I think, officially say it, that Batista's thumbs down just before WrestleMania 21 is our definitive greatest babyface turn. Thank you very much for joining us. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Again, as I said, comment everything that you think about these. What have we missed? What have we not? What have we got wrong? Do you agree with our final? And you will join us, hopefully, on another time where we will do another bracket. Because our next bracket, Sam, is WrestleMania matches. And this one's going to be different. Because we're going to have a qualifying episode where we will talk about every single WrestleMania, everyone, all 40, and decide which is the best match from each WrestleMania, and that will be the entrant into the brackets. So there will be some that won't even get to enter the brackets, which are clearly better than some of these, like WrestleMania 2. But there'll be one match from each WrestleMania, so we're going to decide the greatest match from each WrestleMania, and then we will decide the greatest of those 40. So please join us for that. That'll be in a couple of weeks' time, WrestleMania season and all that jazz, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye!
Bye-bye!